Foresight Wrestling Podcast on the one and only 411 Podcast Network.
We are back in the lab on a super Saturday.
Hey, it is pretty super, isn't it?
It is pretty super, except outside it's super cold.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. All right, we're coming off the heels of the Royal Rumble.
The Royal Rumble. I have to say that I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was going to be kind of disappointing, and I'm glad to say I was wrong.
I think it was one of the better Rumbles of the past few years, especially the men's Rumble. I don't think so much about the women's Rumble, but as a whole on the event, time well spent.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it, every minute of it, man. It was a good time.
All right, so we're gonna do a quick review of this.
Down in the lab that evening.
Isn't there always?
Yeah, actually, there really is. There really quite is.
All right, we're gonna run through this. Obviously, then we got some other stuff concerning John Cena, Brock Lesnar, Edge, the usual stuff like that. But first, let's kick it off with the kickoff.
Oh boy.
I know that was also a Sheamus pun, but anyways, Sheamus over
boy.
Shorty G.
Yeah, I kind of saw that one coming. I mean, they're building up Sheamus to be,
The Celtic Warrior.
Yeah, another conquering something or other.
Something or another. I'm wondering if right now he's being set up, assuming Reigns does defeat The Fiend for the title. I wonder if they're almost setting up a Reigns Sheamus in the spring or summer, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something they're going to do. It's going to happen eventually.
I know they feuded before, but, that was 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
They did have a rematch on SmackDown, and same result. So I'm guessing, that kind of tells you where Shorty G is.
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
just, biding his time.
Yeah, I mean, defeating Sheamus might be a tall task for him, but...
Oh, God.
What?
That was bad.
That was pretty bad. All
that
right.
was horrible.
Speaking of bad, Andrade.
Oh, no.
All right. We love Andrade, except his little suspension, his little paid vacation he has right now. Well, unpaid, I don't even know.
Shouldn't be taking things that you shouldn't be taking.
Well, anyways, I was going to say he defeated Humberto
Carrillo.
There you go. I'm so glad you said that.
Wow.
Hey, Selena Vega was by his side. Nothing bad about that. He's still United States champion. I think we expected that. But what do you think of him remaining champion through the suspension?
I mean, not everybody gets the same punishment applied to them, apparently.
Are you saying there's some flair? Favorite?
I didn't say that. I ain't saying nothing.
You're not saying it?
I don't want suits showing up at the house saying,
Don't
hey,
they
take
already?
that back.
You were just telling this off air, but remember when we went to Raw before someone got suspended? Tell
Yeah.
that story again.
Oh, well, we went to Raw back in, I think it was 2008. It was on the road to WrestleMania, and they were having all these different matches, and one of them was an Intercontinental title of Jeff Hardy versus Chris Jericho, and great match, and then Jeff Hardy lost, and I was a big Jeff Hardy fan at that point. And Chris Jericho broke a record of holding the most, was it 8 or 9 at some point? And then we find out later that Jeff Hardy was suspended, and that's why
Unexpected dropped the title.
And there was a lot of hype behind him. We were all expecting him to have a really good showing at Money in the Bank. I think he was scheduled to be at.
I think a lot of people thought he was going to win Money in the Bank that year. Obviously, he did not. But later in the year at Armageddon 2008, he did win the WWE title. He finally did it for a month.
I mean, hey, his name's in the book.
His name's in the book. He did get a few more runs and then had the CM Punk feud before leaving.
Just like RVD's name is in the book. He was there once.
We love RVD.
Yeah.
Kind of.
We do.
Sort of. All right. So we actually started out the show. This is kind of where I usually start to pay attention a little bit more. But Stone Cold had the opening.
Yeah. I mean,
where did that come from?
Well, that's just a way of saying, hey, you'll never be as over as this guy. Well, follow that. That's what they're saying.
I thought it would have been cool if, all the repeat winners kind of did something like that. All of a sudden, Hogan pops in, Shawn Michaels gives a few words.
Hogan?
What? You realize...
I could see Michaels. I mean, he's got the history.
You realize Batista and Triple H and Cena also all repeat winners. But anyways, you realize Mania weekend is going to be all Hogan in Tampa.
I know.
NWO.
I know it'll be stuff. I mean,
So,
it'll be fine.
You're
It'll be
tired of
great.
Hogan now.
No, well, I've been tired of Hogan since the '80s, but
Wait for,
I accept it. I understand that he's a point. You know, he serves
Legend?
his purpose. He's
Yeah.
a legend. He did a lot, so I put up with it. But I don't have to be excited about it.
And if you believe the rumor, Super Showdown in Saudi may have more Hogan.
Oh, really? I mean, I guess they like him.
Him and Flair did I thought that was kind of it for them. It feels like each legend kind of gets their turn to get a payoff in Saudi. And, I don't know why Hogan would be back. I don't know. I feel him and Flair kind of used up there.
There's a lot of money involved.
There is a lot of money. But speaking of money, Roman Reigns defeated King Corbin.
Yep, that was nice.
False count anywhere. I thought it was cool in the baseball stadium.
Yep, that was really cool. They had a lot of field to work with, and they used quite a bit of it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I liked how actually he got the pin on top of
the dugout. Yeah,
very cool there. And as we saw then later on in SmackDown last night, this feud feels pretty much over. Corbin finally got the dog food turned on him, and Reigns I think can officially move on. I'm guessing next week or the week after he'll give a speech about kind of looking back on the top prize, the title. And by the way, Milwaukee has a live event at the end of March.
Yeah, it does.
And I think it's a Saturday. And one of the matches was Reigns versus King Corbin in a no-holds-barred match. Obviously, that's going to change. I doubt they'll still be having live event matches 2 months from now. But it's interesting that it says that because also it says Fiend versus The Miz. Like,
you
clearly.
should get your host to get you in as like a special reporter.
Well, here's the kicker. This is where I'm going with this. It's a little off topic, but that's the last weekend of March. It's like 28th, 29th, something like that. I can't really think of the date. It's a Saturday, so it's right before Mania.
Right.
But just announced this week, 4 days later, AEW's in Milwaukee.
Oh.
I wonder if playing the markets against each other
might be.
or something. And there's also a Brewers game that afternoon.
Oh.
So AEW, if you want to make a whole day of it, catch some baseball and
Go watch some wrestling.
So up next we had Charlotte Flair winning the Rumble.
Yeah, I mean, well, Bianca Belair had an awesome showing. That was really cool. I
8 eliminations.
Yeah, record breaking at the time.
She did great. We started out, I'm not going to go through everyone here, but Alexa Bliss, Bianca Belair, Mighty Molly, Nikki Cross, Lana, Mercedes Martinez, which was cool for her finally.
Yeah, right. I have to say, though, like every time Bianca Belair, I always come like, is she ready for this? And then she shows you that, yeah, she is.
Yeah, she has to lose at TakeOver Portland and get called up already. Not even for her husband, Street Profits, but just... it's been time. I thought even last year when she fell short, I think it was to Shayna.
Right, yep.
It kind of felt like it. And then I forgot which match it was. It was like a fatal four-way where any of them could have been pinned, and yet she was the one pinned of all the people, which felt very weird. But Liv Morgan came out, went right for Lana, obviously. Mandy Rose had her fun with Otis.
Yeah, that was cool. That was creative.
Who, by the way... I don't know if you caught this on SmackDown, but Otis was backstage with her all nervous.
Yeah, I did catch that a little bit. He asked her out, yada yada.
He asked her out for next Friday, and she looked
got
at him.
plans.
Oh, it was heartbreaking. And then she's like,
but not next week.
But I'm free the following week. And then all of a sudden Tucker kind of like, that a boy. And he's like that.
Well,
and then
tucky.
and then he stops. He goes, you didn't think of this, Otis, but 2 weeks from Friday is Valentine's
Day.
Snap. And it was great. So I loved it. I'm sure that's going to be amazing.
Good old Otis. I like him.
Candice LeRae was in again. Sonya Deville, Kairi Sane, Mia Yim, Dana Brooke, Tamina. Not a whole lot going on here.
Tamina, though, that was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
I know you're not a fan, but, I mean, it was a surprise that she came out.
Hey, I would almost take her over Nia Jackson. That's
Lord.
not much of a battle.
You are a hater, man.
Hey, if you want to defend Tamina, go right ahead. Dakota Kai, Chelsea Green, who lasted all of, 30 seconds?
Yeah, well, she had to tell people to be quiet. Shh, don't talk about it.
Yeah, and then she lost on NXT also to Kaden Carter. So I don't know what they're telling.
What was that number one free agent or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know where they're going with this. I'm guessing a mean streak or maybe bringing in someone else to the Robert Stone brand.
The hot mess is going to come out and she'll be like the half and half thing again.
Or she snaps or something and Zack Ryder gets dragged into it. I don't know. But anyways, 17, obviously our winner, Charlotte Flair. 18, the returning Naomi. That was cool. She also had a cool-looking entrance on SmackDown. Looks like she's going to feud with Bayley. They had a little thing for the title. Beth Phoenix,
Yeah, that was interesting.
her hair turned red.
Yeah,
She had-
when did that happen?
I kept saying, I'm like, she's always been a blonde.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on? Well, not always, but I'm like, what's going on here? And then obviously, you can slowly see it bleeding more and more. And then you can see it. There was a replay of it or something was shown, but I guess I think Bianca Belair had her in the corner and punched her, and Beth like oversold it and just went like flipped her hair back.
And
then hit the back post, and then right away you can see this. She does this. A ref comes from the outside and jumps up.
I saw the ref jump up, but I didn't know why.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh,
Tony Storm came out. That
totally
was cool.
like over flared her. Oh,
Yeah,
man,
she did.
It's one thing to have like an injury because of like a botched move or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
to like be flipping your hair back and whack the post, that
Yeah,
sucks.
and she ended up staying in this match for it looks
for
like,
quite a while.
It says 23 minutes. I would argue she was almost the MVP of the match. I know she only had one elimination, but she did a lot in there. But 20 was Tony Storm, 21 Kelly.
Oh.
I don't know why. Besides King loving her,
I am not a fan of Kelly. She was part of the female era that I couldn't get behind. All that screaming and yelling and some of the moves, I didn't like that at all. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I always get a kick out of her music and coming out. I mean, she was in for 2 minutes, so no big deal. 22, Sarah Logan, that was going well. 23, everyone's favorite, Natalia.
Yeah.
24,
Follows you on Twitter.
24, oh boy, I always butcher the name. Zia it's Xia.
Oh, Xia Li?
There you go. Why can I never say it?
Because you have a hard time with foreign languages.
Oh boy, I didn't say that. 25, Zelina Vega. Hey, there you go.
There you go.
I can
That's
say that.
nice. Good.
26, Shotzi Blackheart. Again, nice surprise there.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And then on NXT on Wednesday, she came out in a little mini kids tank.
Oh,
So
there you go. Right on.
DX, eat your heart out.
Yep.
27, Carmella. 28, Tegan Knox. 29, Santina.
Yeah, I was a little dismayed at that because that was a spot that could have gone to, somebody a little more.
Yeah.
Nia Jax.
I don't know. Is she ready?
No, but I mean, wouldn't that be more appropriate than Santina?
Yeah.
Although I like how Santina did bring the Cobra out. That was nice.
It was great. And then
it was funny.
Santina jumped over and said, bye.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny
That
because
was-
Beth Phoenix, former lover,
Yeah,
partner.
it was entertaining. I enjoyed the little.
I was
segment there.
fine with it. I know everyone's gonna freak out about it and this and that. It's like relax. It was 1 minute. I thought it was funny. I always liked Santino. And number 30 immediately brought us back to business with Shayna Baszler. So that was it right there. So she also had 8 eliminations. So I texted you right when this match started that it was way too early. So right when it got on, I think it was second after Reigns. Yeah, it was second match. So right when that came on second, I was not expecting much. Obviously, Ronda Rousey's not going to come out second.
Right.
And I really didn't think much of it at the time, and that kind of put a damper on. I know that's not entirely fair to Flair. But
Wow.
yeah, I know it wasn't entirely fair, but sometimes card placement kind of gives it away. And when it's second up, you're not going to get some huge shocker, return, mega, whatever. I mean, obviously, they're then saving that for the main event with the men. So right when it was just like, oh my gosh, Charlotte is going to win this. And get ready to take a shot because...
Uh-oh.
All right, Holly had Charlotte winning.
Did she really?
I have to mention that. So there, I said it. Obviously, when Shayna came out, I was like, yep, here we go.
Yeah.
And then it got down to those two, and I'm just like, it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen. And it did happen.
And it
So what do you think, Charlotte?
I mean, she hasn't done it yet, so it's nice to get that first one out of the way. It's not...
Hold on. First one. So there's going to be many more?
You know it. She's already, 10 time?
Well, Ric Flair won it once. So.
Yeah. She's going to, surpass him in every fashion. So we got the first one out of the way.
Oh, are you saying divorces too?
Well...
Oh boy!
I mean,
all right, so
we're on the way, aren't we? It's already up. Got one.
I didn't entirely like Charlotte Flair winning. I understand she was going to win at some point.
Yeah.
But this felt like, I guess not now or never, but this felt like Shayna had all the momentum. She did pin Charlotte Flair during the build of Survivor Series. She obviously got the Survivor Series big moment there. And then this felt like not a call-up officially because she's still kind of hanging around NXT, but it felt like this was the time for her versus Charlotte, who, like you said, she'll have many years.
Yeah.
If they want to give her the accolade, she'll have plenty of years. Charlotte ain't going anywhere. She could win it next year, the year after. Nobody would really complain. But this kind of felt like Shayna to make a huge impact, walk in, challenge Becky, do whatever she's going to do. But I didn't think Charlotte needed to win here. If they wanted to find another way, how about she would have lost here and then got frustrated, blah, blah, blah. And then she says next night on Raw, just randomly like, laugh all you want, but I guarantee you, and then points at the WrestleMania sign, I will be competing for a championship at that. And then everyone kind of laughs. And then she can disappear for a week or two. And then how about after TakeOver Portland, Rhea Ripley celebrating, and then Charlotte attacks her and said, I told you all I would find my way to be a champion. And why not rip the heart of your precious NXT and bow down to the queen? Something like that. And then Shayna could obviously have had the Rumble win, and then whatever they're doing.
You got a camera in the writer's room? Or what are you doing here, man? You're like building up a whole scenario here.
No, but I'm saying Charlotte could have easily gotten to the rumored Rhea Ripley-Charlotte title match.
Right. Yeah.
And Baszler, like I said, this felt like her year. I don't know if next year Shayna's going to have the same momentum. Is she going to have the same unstoppable beast mode that she's had the past year in NXT? I don't know.
Right.
This felt like, her calling up and give her the win and immediate, she's a star.
If they bring her up to the main roster, then, she's got a whole new slew of challengers to prove herself against.
I mean, she has to. I know she's, 40? I know she's definitely up there. But, again, Charlotte will have many years. I don't know if she needed this one. So that kind of did put a little damper on the match for me. But
I'm fine with it. I mean, like I said, she does have the accolades, and she just needs to keep, the resume going, because you never know when your last match is going to be. As we saw, in that same evening, we had a few people get injured. So
that is true. I think as long as the matches come together for Mania, I mean Shayna
right.
and whatever, I think as long as the matches come together, I guess it'll be fine. It just kind of in the moment, it was just like, I don't know if Charlotte was the right choice. But anyways, following this, we had Bayley over Lacey Evans. I would say mild upset, where I gave Lacey a pretty good shot here of actually winning. But again, once the match kind of started, the crowd was kind of deflated. It didn't really feel like it was going to be a big babyface moment.
Yeah, I didn't have. I mean, I've never really been impressed with Lacey Evans in the ring per se. I mean, she's got a few decent moves, but overall, it seems like there's a lot of stiffness to it all. But I thought it was a nice little heel win for Bayley. It was a nice little reinforcement of the got one over on you.
Yeah, and still no Sasha. Still no idea what's going on with that. I guess she's injured or something.
She's taking a nap.
She's taking a nap. It looks like Naomi maybe next for Bayley.
She hung out with Snoop, and, we just haven't seen her since.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm not giving Naomi much of a shot over Bayley, so that would get us through February and then possibly March. And then any ideas on Bayley for Mania?
Yeah, man. I mean,
Sasha?
That seems like the logical, if she decides to show up.
I wonder if...
Or Beth Phoenix. Why not?
Why not? And she did last year. She tagged with Natalya.
Yeah, but, I mean...
Well, I guess. I think the thing is, what's funny
Shayna,
is...
Shayna could...
No, Shayna's got Becky. What's funny is everyone probably assumes that Sasha's going to turn on Bayley, right? That's the assumption?
That's the assumption.
And then go for the title. But here's my thing. What if Sasha has been teaching Bayley so much of the dark ways and how to be bad,
that
Bayley snaps on Sasha and says, I don't need you. I've been just fine without you.
Is that what they call a swerve?
It's a little bit of a swerve, but it's been, months of this building up, and now watch, Sasha's gone, and guess what happened at the Rumble? Bayley won.
There it went.
So now she can defeat Naomi and then kind of look at Sasha and be like, you know what? I don't think so.
I think I'm done with you.
I think I'm done with you. Boss time over. All right, so up next we have the Universal Championship. The Fiend.
Yeah, what a match.
Over Daniel Bryan.
Ouch, man. I don't think I ever want to be whipped with a leather belt.
Yeah, the strap match kind of got the better of Daniel Bryan's back there, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it was initially made a strap match. Didn't make sense to me in the build-up, but whatever the reason was...
Because one time he tried to escape.
Yeah.
So we got to tie him up.
I guess we need a gimmick.
Because everybody needs to be tied to a monster. That's... Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
So you're fine with the Fiend still, champ?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He's going to hold on to that for a minute or two.
Till Mania, we still thinking Reigns?
I mean, that's the logical conclusion. He's the guy, and the guy has to go after the title.
The guy does have to go after the title, especially at Mania after coming back from leukemia and staying out of the title picture for the most part. And in case I don't remember this later on, Reigns can point to the fact that he was the last SmackDown star standing in the Rumble.
That's true. Yeah,
Thus,
and then he can point at the WrestleMania sign, which grants everybody a wish.
Hey, I love the pointing at the sign. I don't know why.
I did it once.
Yes, I love doing it. I don't care. Up next, we had Becky. She got her last debt.
Got that last one, finally.
She collected it over Asuka. I thought pretty clever finish there with the mist. She kind of caught her.
Yep, that was very nice.
Asuka missed.
Did you notice in the build-up, like back videos and stuff like that, the replays, they've CGI'd the mist just a little bit?
You mean on her face or like in the
No,
color?
as when they were doing the contract signing, it wasn't as sometimes it was, so they added a little CGI. I was like, why did you do that? We get the point.
A little special effect.
Sometimes they go a little overboard, like, oh, we need to do this. And it's like, no, we get it. We're not as dumb as you think I are. Right? You like that?
That's pretty good. I was fine with it. Obviously, Becky Lynch was going to retain. I don't think many gave Asuka much of a shot here.
No, definitely not.
16-minute match. Becky goes over clean as can be. The next night on Raw, she pretty much said, why did I doubt myself? I'm the man, blah, 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 blah. And I'm assuming now on the road to WrestleMania.
I expected some stuff to turn out of that, but apparently not. They're making us wait.
Yeah, she even joked if Charlotte picked her, it'd be part 367.
Yeah, we've seen that enough. Thank you.
And yes, I definitely agree. I don't think there's any way they do that. And the other part about
unless they just want to make everybody mad, which sometimes it seems that way.
It does seem that way, but I was going to quick mention, I showed you this before. What do you think of Corey Graves? I don't know if there's much merit to this or not.
He's got some tattoos. It's a pretty silly haircut.
Don't we all? So he had mentioned if are we tiring of the man? Are we done with the Becky thing? It's been a year almost as champ of her and the cocky promos and the whatever held me down. I did this and that. Or is there still juice to this whole thing?
I'm not tired of it, but I'm wondering what is she going to do now? So, I'm kind of left wondering, I'm with it, and I want to see what you're doing, but who's left?
Yeah, the thing is, it seems like it's going to be Shayna.
That's the rumor.
And then the other rumor is if Ronda does not come to some sort of return for Mania, it'll be right after. So I could see Becky almost beating Shayna, which would be kind of shocking, and then saying again, "I've beaten everyone," and then the music hitting for the stare down after Mania.
Something with a reputation.
Something reputation, something like that. But I mean, I still think if they can get Ronda, if they can work out something for her to be back by Mania.
That'd be the big money ticket right there.
Because the other word is, I think Undertaker, and who's the other one? I think it was Cena that they're still trying to figure out where to toss them on the card if they're up for it in Tampa.
Yeah, that's a good.
That's true. But anyways, the main event.
Undertaker versus Cena?
We already saw that. I don't know.
What
would Undertaker do?
Exactly. And what would Cena do?
Seth Rollins? He could say he's the man here now and hit the bricks, guys, and
boom.
And then there it is, the Messiah versus the Phenom.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. Cena, I still have no idea. But, yeah, he keeps saying, he'll be there. It's Tampa. He says he's free.
We just won't see him.
All right, so we have the Royal Rumble for the men's side.
Yeah. How about that, huh? Brock versus the world for half of it. I was right for half of it.
Yes, I love this Rumble. I kind of, in my 411 Mania column, I broke it down into 3 parts. We'll go through each person here, but, it was obviously the Brock part, the Edge return, and the Drew McIntyre crowning. So, number 1 had Brock Lesnar, obviously. I love this. Number 2, I mentioned this, Elias. He had taken some shots at Brock in the build-up during his little songs.
Right.
So that was not going to end well, and I like how his song was Sacrificial Lamb.
Yep, that was good. He knew.
Oh, my
right
gosh.
where he knew his part.
That was the funniest thing ever.
That was good.
So, number 3, I have a funny story. Well, not really a funny story, but I noticed Eric Rowan.
Yeah.
So he's been running through people on Raw.
Yeah.
He's been billed as a big monster.
Right.
And he comes face to face with Brock and is thrown out in 8 seconds.
8 seconds. Done. Bye-bye.
So this whole Rowan, whatever's in the cage, I don't even know. And
Yeah.
he's the big man, and then here's Brock 8 seconds later. See ya, Rowan.
See ya. Yeah.
Up next, we had Robert Roode, John Morrison, and Kofi Kingston.
I mean,
So I think there was some people upset that John Morrison only lasted 9 seconds.
I was surprised that was a quick one, too. I mean, I thought he'd have a little bit more, but...
I thought he might have a moment, but at the same time, I mentioned this before, but do you remember what show he returned on?
SmackDown?
It was not SmackDown. It was The Bump. Yes, the internet show. He appeared on The Bump. That was his.
Doesn't count.
That was his. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't count. That was his big return. And then SmackDown, it was a 10-second backstage segment.
Right.
And now he's teaming with The Miz. So I know people are thinking Morrison's going to be this whatever, but he's kind of placed where, I mean, they're telling us where he's placed. So maybe lower expectations a little bit on this guy. They're kind of showing us, like, this is who he's going to be. So
Harsh, man.
I know it's harsh. But anyway, speaking of harsh, Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
So he lasted 5 minutes because up next was Mysterio and
Better
Big
than
E.
8 seconds.
Yes, definitely. So this was kind of cool. I like this. Mysterio was next, and then Big E.
Yeah.
And Big E kind of finally, after somebody was like, hey, why don't we team up and get this guy?
Right.
Like the first 4 or 5 guys was nothing, and then here's Big E like, hello, let's get him. So then he did the, what was it called? The Whisper in the Wind? No, it was the Poetry in Motion the Hardys used to do.
Oh, yeah.
Where he gets on all fours, and then Brock jumps off his,
Yep,
which I thought was great. And then literally just tosses him over and F5's Kofi out of there. And then it was just like, and it was like, oh, okay. I thought for a second, could Kofi get his revenge here? Maybe.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that going on, but then I kind of figured, yeah, probably not.
I liked where this gave us a hope spot because, Brock tossing guys out in 10 seconds. You couldn't do that for all of them, so they had to do a little something here to break it up.
Right.
And they did, so I thought that was great. Cesaro, 18 seconds. See ya.
Nice try.
Shelton Benjamin lasted 30. But
that was adorable. That little
that was nice.
The nice little reunion. That was cool.
That was very cool. So Intercontinental Champion, former Intercontinental Champion Nakamura was next.
Yep.
And he lasted 20 seconds.
I mean, I seem to recall, didn't they face off once in New Japan?
They did have a match. I think that's where Brock won the title.
Yeah,
from Nakamura during that whole thing.
How about that, huh? A little full circle there.
A little full circle, and nobody even remembered or noticed it.
Yeah. Well,
so number 12, MVP.
Yeah.
This was a very cool surprise. The backstory pretty much is Mysterio kind of set this up for him.
But where was the inflatable tunnel, man?
I think if they were setting that up in between, they may have given away the surprise.
Yeah.
This was kind of cool. Obviously, it was for his son to be there. I don't know if you saw any of this.
Yep, I read a little bit.
And then Mysterio helped them out. They've been buddies forever. And then the next night, they had their match on Raw, and then MVP made a post afterwards, I think on Instagram, saying that was his final WWE match.
Aww.
But he may transition into the producer side, so I wonder if he's about to get hired or something. But kind of cool Mysterio could set this up, and then those two could have a match the next night.
Yeah, good for them.
So very cool. He lasted 24 seconds, but whatever. It's more about the surprise entrance than anything.
Baller.
Number 13, your favorite, Keith Lee.
Keith Lee, I like that. The little stare down with. I love how Brock reacted. Like,
yep.
Oh, that was a big boy.
I think at first he said that's a big boy, and then when he got in, he said he looked at Brock and pointed and he said, "Who is this mother effer?"
Yeah, yep. It looked at Heyman, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't know what was going on, but I thought that was cool. Finally, we had someone his size, kind of match up with them. I think we were kind of waiting for that.
And that gave him a little bit of a fight too. Let the clock tick down a little bit.
He lasted over 3.5 minutes because number 14 was Braun Strowman.
Ooh.
So he had finally kind of met his match here a little bit, which was kind of cool. It was about 1/3 of the way through the Rumble. He had obviously tossed over however many guys.
Nice progression.
Yeah, so it was very cool. And get ready to take a shot because...
Oh, boy.
because Holly does not like Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
She was watching. She got off work around, I think, the Women's Rumble. She came in at some point during this, but she was tired of the eliminations from Brock. She was kind of over it. And then Keith Lee came out, and she kind of perked up a little bit, like, oh, okay. Keith Lee. And then Braun came out. She literally, I wrote this in my 411mania.com column, so feel free to check that out. I give a little bit more details on all this, but she literally stands up from the couch, starts slapping her hip, and is like, now we got something. Now we got something. And then she was loving it. She thought Braun and Keith Lee. And then, of course, right when they turned on each other, it was like, no, go for Brock. Go for Brock. And then Ricochet came out at number 15, and then she's like, well, so much for that. And I'm like, well, hold on. They had the low blow spot on Raw, so they had to have been setting up something. Right? We had talked about that. Something was coming here. And sure enough, number 16. Uh-oh. You know who it is?
Yeah, I bet it is. I texted you a horse, didn't I?
Well, it was Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre came out, and this was great. I love the way this was done. Ricochet obviously then low-blowed Brock as Drew and Brock had their stare down, which right away should have told everyone what was coming.
Right.
And then Claymore over the top, crowd went nuts.
I've never been more happy to be wrong. I do believe that's probably the moment where the loudest yell erupted from the lab at that moment.
Was it? Not Edge?
Yeah. No. Because I was very happy to see Brock. Like I said, I'm not a fan, so I was really glad to be wrong about this foregone conclusion, and I was really glad that Heyman has been handed his first spoiler fail.
Yes, which I tried to tell you last week, my spoiler instead of his spoiler. But anyways.
Yeah, what's your track record, though?
I don't know. Better than his Rumble spoiler. But anyways, I got 2 points on this one. Number one, I would have almost just rather had Brock throw out one more guy before doing this. Like, did we really need Carl Anderson to enter? Did we need Luke Gallows? Did we need some of these guys to come in? One more guy getting thrown over wouldn't have been a big deal. Even The Miz, Dolph, I mean, no. I know he took the spear, but I mean, anyone could have done that. I'm not sure. Brock tied the record for eliminations.
There's a mountain, and he's not there yet.
Now he tied Braun, but Braun was in the 50-man Rumble.
So does that count?
So 30-man, he beat Reigns' record. I don't know if you count it, whatever. It doesn't matter. I thought you could have just thrown one more and had the record, and then here comes Drew and, kicks him over. I thought it would have been great. And the other point I mentioned also in my column was Ricochet and Brock. I'm not sure they're ever going to match up again.
Right.
It'd be cool if they did. I can imagine some of the stuff they could do.
That'd be interesting.
But if you want to get technical about it, I wrote about this. Ricochet got one over Brock.
He did.
He got one over. Usually, 9 times out of 10, Brock stands over some bum and F5s him, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Ricochet got one over on him because he got laid out on Raw. 6 days later, got his revenge. Yeah. And I don't know if Brock's ever now going to get back on him. So Ricochet can always have one up over the Beast.
How does it feel, Brock fan?
Yeah.
Your boy's down one.
He's down one. Well, until 24 hours later. But anyway, 17 was The Miz. Again, not a whole lot going on, 30 seconds. Not sure why that was needed. AJ Styles at 18. So we'll get to Edge coming out, obviously, but AJ is now hurt.
Yeah. AJ went down shoulder separation.
So if you believe the rumor out there, he wanted to make like a huge moment for Edge.
Oh, really?
So he wanted to like flip over with the spear and create some big moment.
Okay.
Of course, when he went and did that, he completely wrecked his shoulder when he flipped over. So maybe AJ, take it down a notch. I think he's, however old, and doesn't need to be flipping over on spears and doing all this stuff. I think he's pretty well set for life and making the money.
Yeah.
But he wanted to go the extra mile. I guess you got to respect that. And he's trying to do it for Edge.
Do it for Edge, man.
Do it for Edge is our new phrase. So number 19 was Dolph Ziggler. He actually had a pretty good run here, 12 minutes. Not entirely memorable unless you count the spear that was missed by production. But anyways, number 20 was Carl Anderson. Again, I'm not sure why we needed this here, but I guess to team up with AJ and Luke Gallows. But number 21, all right, here's what everyone's waiting for. Edge.
Yes.
Edge came out. It was true. The rumors were true.
The rumors were true. How about that? All this, I'm not, still haven't, won't.
Yeah.
All that. Yeah. Nicely done.
There was too much smoke to the fire.
Yeah.
Too much going on. He had been showing up at wherever, and I mean, Beth was there, but I guess that didn't mean too much.
Right. She's NXT.
But too much there for Edge for all these reports to be wrong. I mean, if there was like one source or one thing, then okay, you can get it. But it was coming from too many different directions, and it was just very cool. I thought if he was coming out, he was going to win. You actually had said, well, Edge and CM Punk, that if they were going to come out, they didn't necessarily have to win.
Yeah, I didn't foresee like any of the big returns winning. I actually foresaw like somebody top of the card that has been working all year, that type of thing. I thought they were gonna go for it.
Yeah, and looking back in hindsight, yeah, I think Edge kind of would know that. He's kind of somebody that would be like, no, I don't need to win. I'm Edge.
Right.
I don't need the title.
The return isn't diminished by him not winning the Rumble. It's
yeah.
He had a great showing. He did awesome, and it was awesome to see him.
Over 20 minutes.
I mean,
final 3. Yep.
I had wondered if he had that final surgery because I remember shortly after he retired, they came out with that DVD, and I bought it. And he was like, yeah, I haven't had the surgery yet, but it doesn't hurt right now, and
yeah,
it only hurts if I sit for too long. So I was like, did he ever get it done? Well, apparently he did.
Yeah, and you can even go back, I think it was late last year or sometime, Edge and Christian announced that their podcast was going on an indefinite, leave. And
oh, yeah.
Christian obviously did the backstage gig.
Right.
And then you could wonder, oh, that's why. But then it was like, well, wait a minute, couldn't Edge have his weekly own? No, it's like, nope, he's got other stuff on his mind.
Yeah, he's training.
So number 22, we kind of come back down to earth here with King Corbin.
Yeah, that sucked.
Nothing there? Okay.
Wasn't, nope, again.
No, I'm surprised he was even in it. I don't think he needed to be after losing to Reigns.
Right.
Again,
I mean,
I'm not sure.
I understand his purpose. He plays his character quite well. He's a great guy that you love to hate. But yeah, if he's not on TV, I don't miss him.
So before we get too far ahead, I know Matt Riddle's next, and he lasted 40 seconds.
Bro.
But what did you make? Did you even notice? I know the big thing was they missed this first spear.
And the production, yeah.
They showed the fans going nuts, and then you came in, and the spear was over. And then they released on YouTube the unseen footage and different angles and stuff.
They're getting a little too crazy with this showing the crowd reaction. Show the action. We want to see what's going on.
That ring out there?
Where all the stuff is happening. We don't care how people are reacting to the stuff that is happening. We can look at that on YouTube.
That is true, which actually I did. I love the reaction videos to guys returning. I don't check them out a lot, but Edge returning, I did go and checked out some reactions. Of course, people just freaking out and screaming in different bars and pubs and stuff, especially the Rumble ending, people going nuts. But I tweeted about this a little bit. I get it. I noticed right away, too. I mean, you kind of are going to notice when you miss a spear like that.
Right.
But I don't know. I do like when they show the fan reactions.
Yeah, well,
not in the middle of action.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta time. It's all right to see some of that, but you gotta time it out. Like when there's a big return and he's doing something right off the bat.
I think it was Dolph who tweeted like, next time two guys are running towards each other after a huge return, maybe not shoot away from the ring.
Right. Like, come on.
Like here come two guys coming at each other. Oh, let's look over there.
Somebody got fired, I hope.
Yeah. I doubt it, but I mentioned the Undertaker when he lost the streak, the shocked faces.
Yeah. Right.
That made the moment.
That definitely made the moment, but there was nothing else happening.
Right, but the match was over.
Match was done. They were just laying there.
So I'm fine with the shots and stuff, but yeah, you can't turn away at that point. So
do it right.
So whatever, they added it to YouTube. I know in the moment it sucked, but I think we'll all survive. It didn't take away from the moment one bit. The emotion, the Edge looking like completely deer in the heads, like when he came through the smoke, and it's just like, this is the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah, I think you have to wonder, he's like coming out here like, is anybody going to remember me? And then, yeah, we remember you, buddy.
Oh, yeah, we remember you. I did my usual thing I do when a big moment happened. I just cranked the TV volume all the way.
I was going to say, did you throw something?
I did not throw anything, but yeah, King Corbin came out next. Then Matt Riddle, who he was mine. I know you had Keith Lee. I had Matt Riddle coming out. If anyone else from NXT was Velveteen Dream. Now, here's where it's interesting. He did not come out. I still don't know if he's cleared or what he even has.
Yeah.
But this week on NXT, they had is very weird. This might be for Velveteen Dream. I'm not sure yet. I'm thinking of asking somebody what's up with this. But anyways, it was like circle flames or something, and then it had 2-5-20 and like crisscrossed or like weird, and then at the end of it they all came together and it came 2-5-20, and obviously if you do the math, that's next Wednesday. So it was like a little vignette teasing somebody for next Wednesday. So I'm thinking, like, who has the circle flames? I was thinking his glasses, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if you have any ideas on who that could be, but it was just a very weird. They only aired it once, and it wasn't like weeks. They've aired it one, and then it's next week. So something's going on next week. Something that hopefully better be good.
Heavy.
Something's going on. All right, 24 was Luke Gallows. Again, not sure why he was out there. 25, Randy Orton.
Yeah.
He had his little rated RKO moment with Edge, which
that was pretty cool.
I thought was very cool. Orton was not somebody who was obviously going to win, but, you know, well-respected veteran, and everyone knows him, so he can go out there. Number 26, Roman Reigns, obviously.
Yep.
Final
Big dog.
two. Big dog.
The only, what'd they say? That was the only spot in the upper five or whatever that has not produced a winner.
Oh.
Number 26.
I am not good with my numbers and all that, so actually that is interesting. And actually the final 6 out of 7 guys were from Raw.
Yeah.
Reigns was the last SmackDown guy. 27 was Kevin Owens. 28, Aleister Black.
Yeah.
29, Samoa Joe. 30, Seth Rollins. So, quick note on all 4 of those guys. It almost felt like they kind of threw them all in at the end.
Yeah, I noticed that. Like the big Raw feud.
Yeah, it just felt like a big block of guys
at the end.
Yeah, they just kind of threw them in there. And I guess if there is one minor disappointment of the Rumble is, I know Rollins kind of went on a tear at the end. They're eliminating guys with AOP and Buddy Murphy, but it did just kind of feel like, oh yeah, we got these 4 guys. Let's put them all in there. And these are 4 that I honestly would have liked to have seen a little bit more. I guess Rollins had his little run at the end, and then everyone teamed up to get rid of him.
Right.
Samoa Joe, I mean, he lasted 4 minutes, didn't really do much. Aleister Black lasted 5 minutes. I would have liked to see him kick a few heads off. He didn't even get an elimination. And KO, not sure what he's doing, but he did pretty good. But again, not a whole lot there. And it just felt like here they all are, and then Rollins took care of them all.
Right.
So not a whole lot going on. And then we get to the end. So it was Orton, Edge, and then obviously Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. So Edge turned on Orton. I'm not sure if he would do the same after what happened Monday night.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe that's why.
But I thought it was cool because Orton was stalking him with the RKO, and Edge was pretty much like, no, you're going to get me, so I'm getting you first.
Right.
So he threw him over. Crowd seemed to enjoy it, obviously. And then final 3, Edge, which was a nice throwback to the year he won in 2010. He did the elimination where Shawn Michaels, I don't know if you remember this, when Shawn had to win to face Undertaker. Yeah. Where he's like, I'm going to do everything I can to win and then challenge him and all that. But he did the thing on the ropes, and then as he was falling back, he like was reaching out with his hands and then fell over, and it was just this devastating thing with his fingers just off the ropes.
Yeah.
And then that got us to Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. So at this moment, what were you thinking?
At this moment, I was still torn. That I still thought Roman Reigns might have had it because I had heard the rumors of Fiend and Roman.
Yes.
So I thought I might have had it, but I also could see it going the other way too. And I wouldn't. And honestly, at that point in the show, I would not have been disappointed with either one. I was having a great time by this point, seeing all the cool little comebacks and surprises and all that. And
yeah, there was the big debate of if Drew should have got both moments, because once he eliminated Brock, that feud is set for Mania.
Right.
You could have just done that.
That's true.
And then Reigns could have won the Rumble to get Fiend, but they ended up double dipping on Drew McIntyre, giving him the Brock moment, and then just going ahead and just giving him the win also. So he eliminated Roman Reigns, which I thought was a great moment because Reigns was setting him up to eliminate him. He turns around, Claymore out of nowhere.
Right.
Throws him over, crowd goes nuts, and sign point all over again.
All the way. Yep, there it is.
So
now he's got that on his resume.
Now he's got that, and the next night he came out. He's like, "I'm not wasting time." Yep. He's like, "I want Brock." And as much as we all love Brock here, I'm not sure he. I don't know. I could have done without Brock standing tall there at the Raw opening.
Yeah,
I think Drew probably should have had that moment, and then I know Brock was scheduled to be there, so he had to have done something. But I could have just dealt with Brock coming out later and throwing chairs and destroying a few guys, in a fit of rage. But, not sure because Drew McIntyre defeated, who was it, Gallows and Anderson?
Yeah.
Pretty easily. And then, then Brock just kind of came out
destroyed him.
It's just like, come on, Drew should have had that moment. Stand
I
tall.
mean-
He's the Rumble winner. Give him a night.
Oh, are you getting sick of Brock Lesnar? You of
no,
all people?
no. I just said Brock should have came out later and destroyed him.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So overall, what'd you think of the men's Rumble?
I thought overall it was good. Like I said, it started off exactly how I thought it would, just Brock versus the world. But then I was excited once the action started to pick up halfway through. It was good. It's nice to see Keith Lee had a good showing. Bask in his glory.
Bask in his glory, North American champion. Very cool that Keith Lee got his moment. Matt Riddle got his moment. Obviously, the Edge returned. Drew McIntyre won. Get ready to take a shot because when it came time, well, first of all, when Drew eliminated Brock, obviously we were going nuts and stuff. And then when they had their showdown, their little stare down right away, I looked at Holly and I said, get ready for April because that's the match.
Yeah, right there.
And then when it came down to Drew and Roman, obviously I slowly turned the volume up.
Yeah.
I'm like, get ready, here we go. And then, she didn't like me standing up in front of the TV, magically pointing at the invisible sign in my in my living room. And she's just like, I hate when you're right. She goes, I hate that.
Yeah.
Gave her a kiss. I'm like, it's just the stud.
Oh, we had gotten, 46 minutes.
You knew I was saving it.
Yep, I know. 46 minutes you held on. I'm so proud of you.
I held on. Well, anyways, I think I had texted you this. I had gotten some little thing earlier that Charlotte and Drew were going to win.
Oh, yeah?
I texted you that,
Yeah,
right?
I remember that. Yeah.
And I didn't believe it. I even said that. I was just like, there's no way. Because first of all, Charlotte, Drew I could see, but Charlotte, I was just like, no. And then right when Charlotte won, that's when it was like, oh, crap.
Yeah,
it's going to be Charlotte and Drew McIntyre.
I
would not have seen those two. Maybe one or the other, because we obviously talked about that. And if Brock needed a new opponent, Drew kind of fits the bill there. But
I'm kind of excited for it. It's going to be cool to see.
It is kind of cool. But last week you said that's not money to you, and you don't see that matchup.
Yeah, but then I saw him in the Rumble.
He did it. He did look like a beast. He stepped right up to him. He's got the size. He's from Tampa. Well, he's not from there, but he lives there.
Right.
So friends and family, this is going to be Drew's moment. Obviously, I can't imagine him losing. Do I want to jinx it?
I don't know. That again, like I'm kind of on the fence. Like,
so you asked me going to Tampa for Mania. We'll see about that now.
Yeah, no,
we'll see.
It's your boy.
We'll see. Hey, boys, we'll see about that. Hey, I can't lose either way. So overall, Rumble event, thumbs up?
Yeah, absolutely.
I enjoyed it more than the past few Rumbles. Obviously, the ending helps, but it was just so well done. And obviously, the Edge return obviously helps. I think the Brock performance, which we'll get to in a second, but the Brock performance was awesome. I know it may have got a little repetitive, but obviously it was building up to that moment.
Right, exactly.
And then, of course, the ending with Roman Reigns and all that with Drew McIntyre. But we go to 24 hours later.
Yeah.
The big moment with Edge coming out, he talked about it, like, why am I here? Like, how is this possible?
Right,
all this stuff. Comes out with Orton, and then he teases.
As soon as Randy walked out, I was like, there's Mania right there.
Yeah, and for the record, we haven't done this. I hope to do this later, but Holly did not see any of Raw. I doubt she cared too much, but I wanted to show her this ending. Okay, because you could hear,
man.
You could hear the screams in the crowd. There was a report people were crying in the front row. And I want to see Holly's reaction of the casual fan because I have a feeling she's either going to freak out or I don't know. But I wanted to show her this in the past week. It hasn't come up yet. So I'm hoping to tonight. I want to get her reaction to this.
I'll film it and put it up on there.
I don't think she'd want me filming it, but I want to show her this because this was very well done. I had expected Rated RKO to maybe team up, through February, March.
Yeah.
Something easy, tag titles with Rollins and Buddy Murphy.
I mean, that'd be cool.
Could have done that. And then right as he announced it and the crowd was chanting, yes, the RKO out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, what was that?
It was Randy Orton being the Viper.
He was being the Viper, and it was just like, well, there goes that. And then obviously we would assume to set up a Mania match. And when he went up to the top rope with the chair around the neck, the screams began even more, and then he kind of stepped down.
Oh my God, I was just hoping that it wasn't going to go bad. Like,
No, and then if you noticed, he actually lined up in the corner for his old school punt.
yeah, yep.
And then it was like, don't you dare. And then he does Edge's own, the one-man concerto.
Yep.
Just
I
to
mean,
make it
at
even
least
worse.
that's safe.
Yeah, I loved how I loved Edge with I always loved the twitching. I thought
Right?
I always think that just does such a great job in
Yeah.
these moments instead of just laying there or oohing and eyeing.
And if you follow Edge's story, you know that one of the big symptoms that he noticed when something was wrong was he would get tingling.
Oh yeah.
Down. Oh yeah. So like when his arms start shaking, if you follow his story, it's like, oh no, we're back.
Yeah, so I'm assuming this kind of puts him out. I guess February through.
You know what I foresee? Randy's gonna go on and do something at the next pay-per-view. He's gonna win it, and then here comes Edge, and they're gonna set up for Mania.
Yeah, February is the Super Showdown in Saudi
Arabia.
And I don't think Edge will be there for that. I suppose he could be, but I think this will put him out for a while. Orton can come out each week and taunt them for a while, and how's Edge doing? And then the music can hit in February or March, and that kind of sets it up right there. So
Right.
I thought that was very well done. I thought it was great, and like I said, I want to get Holly's reaction because she's kind of the ideal person that I would want to see react to all
She's
this.
your litmus test.
Yes it is, but I think the crowd was the test right there with the screaming and just freaking out over it because it was just so well done. So we kind of got a double final topic here. Not quite
I
sure.
don't multitask very well.
I can't single task very well. So John Cena gave an interview. Was not at the Rumble. Didn't think he would be, but going to be at Mania.
Right.
He gave an interview here with
But you
Sports.
won't see him.
You won't be able to see him, but he gave an interview here with the Sports Illustrated. So he did the usual yapping about whatever. And let's just get to the quote everyone's going to talk about. So he says, I can say with the utmost sincerity that I believe Brock Lesnar is the best in-ring performer that I've seen. And I know it's an opinion, and if you want a cool quote, here it is. I think he's the best in-ring performer of all time.
Boo.
And then he says, I thought his performance in the Rumble was a clinic on how to establish yourself, how to establish those around you, establish the championship, establish the importance of one event. And he did so in less than 30 minutes, and he keeps going on from there.
I think Cena's got a little bit of a crush.
He says, I certainly don't have the skill set to do that, and it was awesome to be able to see a masterclass man put on a clinic, blah, 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 blah. So, I know you're the Brock Lesnar fan. So, for Cena to say...
Do you know me?
From Cena saying this. Now, obviously, I know he's out of the game, so he can kind of say this stuff. I wonder if he's in there, if he'll be saying it.
Well, and, he's coming from, he's a performer. He knows what it takes to do all that stuff. So he's got a background and a knowledge that I can only guess at. As a fan, I'm just sick of the guy. So he's not going to rate up there with me. Like, I never been impressed with his skill set. It's always the same thing. Just like Cena was always the same thing. The 5 moves of doom. But then
Cena knows what it is.
Yeah, exactly. So, takes one to know one, I guess. Now, if we want to segue into John Moxley's little comments.
Yes.
I mean,
now
here we're looking at Chris Jericho, who has consistently put on classic after classic after classic, has plenty of accolades, is one of the only people to say that he beat Austin and Rock in the same night. There's only one first, and when WCW and WWF came together, the first undisputed champion is Chris Jericho. The first AEW World Champion is Chris Jericho.
Do you want me to read the quote?
No. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So he's kind of right in some of this, but obviously I disagree about the Jericho part. So he starts here, which I agree with. To me, you can't ever pick out a greatest of all time in wrestling. It's just too long of a discussion. There's too many people on the list. But for me, for my money, Chris Jericho is really making a case for being the greatest of all time. He's done it in the 90s, the 2000s, and the last 2 decades. He's doing it again. And then he talks about obviously doing it with AEW. And he says, so let's call Chris Jericho, the greatest of all time, and it's not every day you have to wake up and beat the greatest of all time. That's a tall task, but I look at this guy and I just know in my heart this guy's not going to pin me, he's not going to submit me, and he's not going to knock me out. So he fixed in there at the end. Obviously, he's building the match.
Yeah.
February 29th, Revolution for AEW, Chicago. I don't know. Here's the thing. In the Mount Rushmore, we've talked about this before. The Mount Rushmore, I have John Cena on it.
Right.
So obviously top 4. I do not have Brock Lesnar on it. But if Cena, somebody on... I also don't have Drew McIntyre, but maybe
That's
after Mania.
Yeah.
So he's on the Mount Rushmore to me, John Cena.
Okay.
But he's saying Brock Lesnar is the greatest in-ring performer of all time.
Right.
But now here we have John Moxley saying that Chris Jericho could possibly be the greatest wrestler of all time, talking about the longevity. So I don't have Brock on the Mount Rushmore, but I have Cena, and I certainly don't have Jericho. But where would you have Jericho? Would he be on your Mount Rushmore? Because if we're talking greatest, this is where the problem is. Because I mentioned this off air. I'll ramble for a little second here, but this is where the problem is. See, you just defended him saying that. But we have Hogan. We have Macho Man. We have Stone Cold. We have Rock. We have Ric Flair. We have Shawn Michaels. We have Undertaker. We have, I think I already said him, but The Rock. We have John Cena. We have, I know you don't like him, but Brock Lesnar. We have Randy Orton. I mean, Mick Foley, Triple H, Kane, Big Show, Batista. But Jericho?
We don't have enough mountains to cover.
Yeah, how many Mount Rushmores we got here?
Now, there's a difference, though, between being the greatest at what you do and making that kind of a difference that only a Hogan or a Cena or a Stone Cold has made. Like, not only were they... Because if you look at it, when you put them up in the Mount Rushmore... Their title and their accolades may not be as numerous as some of the others, like Ric Flair being a 16-time da-da-da-da. But it's what they did with the time that they had. So Chris Jericho may very well be the greatest wrestler of all time, but would you put him on the Mount Rushmore? Well, he didn't do a Hogan thing. He didn't do a Stone Cold thing. He didn't rescue a company. He's currently like making a company legitimate, but it's not having the same kind of impact as bringing it back from the dead. And John Cena doing what he did in that whole ruthless aggression era, that whole thing.
So let's take away the financial aspect, because that's where obviously Cena, Hogan, Stone Cold are going to get the leg up. That was a Hogan. No, but anyways, so let's eliminate that. So let's just talk in ring. Okay. Is he on your Mount Rushmore then? Because then we're talking AJ Styles. We're talking Daniel Bryan. We're
Bret Hart. We're talking
Shawn Michaels.
You could even go all the way back with Buddy Rogers and
right. So then you're really stretching. You got Ric Flair. Then you could throw in there.
This is where my brain explodes and I stop contemplating it, because there are, like he said, there are too many. You can't really make a Mount Rushmore of the greatest wrestlers. But like you said, I mean, in the conversation, absolutely. He's definitely in the conversation.
I think he's in the conversation for the second tier because he's not going to be up there with the Hogans and the Stone Colds and the Macho Mans and the Ric Flairs and the Stone Colds and the Rocks and the Cenas.
But we're talking the strictly taking away the financials, like you said, and just in ring. He's definitely in that conversation.
Yeah, I think he's in the conversation on that aspect. I think a big part for him, and this is where I do give him a point for, is longevity.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone yaps up The Rock and Stone Cold, but those guys only had 96 through 2000, 2001.
Right.
And then Stone Cold walked out for 6 months, came back for 1, 2, 3 more matches at Mania and left. The Rock obviously didn't explode until 98 at Survivor Series when he became champ. And then he had a 2-year run, and then he was off filming movies and was back for a few months. So he only had a 4 or 5 year run. And like you mentioned, here's Jericho still doing it in 2020 now?
Yep.
So for him to have
Take some time off for his band.
Yeah, and you mentioned the
respect.
Yep. You mentioned the Stone Cold and The Rock defeating them both. That was in 2001.
Right.
So here he is still 18, 19 years later doing it as the champ. I guess centerpiece, you could argue.
And he was doing it, 10 years prior to that.
Yes, and it's funny because back on TNT.
That's true.
So it's this guy has been through it all and seen the ups and downs, and here he is still as a world champion, whether it's a world championship or not or whatever, but he's the leading guy in the company, so he has that accolade going. and he's still, I mean, he's not sucking. He's still like performing at a high level.
Yeah, I mean, an incredibly high level.
So it's not just, oh, he's sticking around, but he sucked.
Right, yeah, exactly. He's not like moving like the Iron Sheik does, you know.
In the gimmick battle royal. Couldn't even be thrown over the top rope.
I love the Iron Sheik.
We all love the Iron Sheik. All right, so that's an interesting topic there. Maybe we can kind of twist that into a list, or I don't even know how, but it's just funny to me that John Moxley says that, and then Cena then talks up Brock Lesnar, kind of two polar opposites. You can see the different companies.
Right. You know that secretly Moxley and Cena are just gritting, you know, I hate you. Well, I hate you too. Well, your legs are stupid. Yeah, well, I skipped leg day, so meh.
By the way, did you see the Fast and Furious trailer?
No.
Cena is, I think his name is Dom or Doc or something. I don't even know. I haven't watched the Fast and Furious in like the past 4 or 5.
I've never seen a single one of those
They
movies.
make big money. They make like $1 billion each. But anyways, he was revealed. I guess Vin Diesel's character had this long lost brother, and it's Cena. That's the plot for the new movie. So that's a pretty big role, though.
All right.
I thought Cena would just be some, side.
I didn't even know he was in it.
Yeah, he's been in it and filming it, and it's been this top secret role that he's had. And hey, look at that. The main character's had this brother through all these decades of movies that's never been mentioned.
Miraculous.
Funny how when you have another movie to come out and write about.
Genetics.
Now he's got a brother we've never talked about before. But anyways, do you have any closing thoughts on the Royal Rumble week? It's over. We are officially on the road. I know we got a few Saudi things to take care of.
Yeah, we've got some pit stops to make, but,
a few pit stops, but then we're full board to Tampa. So successful Rumble week.
Are you going yet?
Can't put that pressure on me. Right now I say no, but
all right.
It's going to get tempting if a few things happen in the coming weeks, but we'll see if that happens. So closing thoughts on the Rumble week.
I had a great time watching it. It was I thought it was an entertaining show overall. I was smiling at the end, so it made me look back fondly upon it. So I was glad to be wrong in my picks and what I thought was going to happen. It actually was quite entertaining.
It was very entertaining. And like you said, at the end, as long as you're smiling and think like, oh, man, I'm glad I watched this show, not like, well, that was a waste of time.
Right.
And I feel the same going to a theater always. If you can, at the end of the credits, be like, hey, that was pretty good, instead of like, why did I spend $10 on that garbage?
Yeah.
So then it's all worth it to me. So here's the usual plugs you're going to get from me. You're listening to the 411 Foresight Wrestling Podcast. You can find us, obviously, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, all that lovely stuff. And you can also check out my lovely, lovely columns that everybody reads on 411mania.com. What do you got?
Hey, the Resonant Complex debut album, North Avenue, is available everywhere digital music is sold. You can also find a physical copy to order on cdbaby.com. Just search the Resonant Complex on YouTube and check out some of our videos there, and anywhere digital music is sold.
Until next time, here is some Resident Complex.
Do you ever look around and hate what you see? Or maybe it's time for a little